The second day of this, of 3. I think I'm gonna do like 3 different days and do an act in each of them. That I'm just speedrunning the first act right now because I've already play tested it. I did that last night. In case you missed yesterday's stream, this is Smoke and Mirrors. It's a visual novel that I wrote and developed, and it's coming out in less than 2 weeks. So, that's stressful. I'm just doing some last minute playtesting, make sure everything's going good. Everything's going good, and I need to get back to the start of Act 2 because that is what I have to do, because I'm 90%, I'm like 99%, yeah, I'm like 99% Act 1 is all flawless except for all the things I didn't actually fix last night after I stopped streaming. Okay. So yeah, while I'm playtesting, or while I'm just speedrunning through the early game, I can, I suppose, explain why this game exists, or why it exists. It exists because I want to make it, is the answer. I like Ace Attorney, I like Danganronpa. That is the simple answer for why I made this game. I went to school for writing and game design, I dual majored, and I'm graduating in less than 2 weeks, which is terrifying. But anyway, it's my senior year. I need to do a big capstone project, something good for a resume. I'm already working on Speedwave, which I'm probably gonna do some streaming of that over the weekend. I'll talk about Speedwave then, but I want to do something else. I've always wanted to do a murder mystery thing. Because I really like whodunits. I love murder mysteries. And I decide, okay, I'm gonna write it down. And I start writing down all these ideas. Like the whole coffin trick was one of the initial ideas. The murder weapon, I'm not going to explain that yet. That was one of the big ideas. Putting these ideas, I just wrote this long list of ideas for a murder mystery video game. It's actually funny, the plot's inspiration, the big thing that inspired the game's plot is I was watching a YouTube video. I forget the guy who made it, and it was on fake psychics, and it reminded me how much I hate fake psychics. And he mentioned, oh, this magician debunked a bunch of them, and he got hate for that. I'm like, that's gonna be what this is about stage magic versus fucking spirit mediums. And one of them I respect a lot more. Can you guess which? One of them is shown to be evil for doing their profession in this game. But yeah, just speeding through it. So I start work in Unity. I have a professor, and he helps me find, and he gives me something he's used for another class. This really good dialogue plugin called the Pixel Crushes dialogue system, and I start building the game out of that. And I had a very limited art. I had very limited art resources. I had a single person helping me on this project. All the character art like this was done by Daria Bordeaux. She's a classmate of mine. She's the lead on the game Luminaria, which you should check out because it's a very good game. Better than anything I've done, to be honest. But yeah, so I have that art, but I need more. I need scenes, so I assemble them out of 3D models, mostly taken from the website TurboSquid, a few from the Unity Asset Store. I got textures from 3D Jungle, but I get my 3D models and I build out scenes and I modify the dialogue system. I find an inventory system and I jury rig it into the inventory system. I jury rig these two plugins together, which was very hard. Actually, behind the scenes, how this game works, with the objections, is it. I could have it so like when you select an item, it pulls up the text. I add a single line of code that it sets a variable on the player to the same thing as what the item's quantity is. Like, because all these items actually secretly have different quantities, but you won't know because you can't use or get rid of them. And I can send that to the player, and I can send from the player to the dialogue system, and that's how I get the inventory rooted into the dialogue system. Like when you pull it up and click on an item, that changes a variable on the player, and when the counter statements come up, it checks what that variable on the player is. Like, see, right now it's looking for the player variable, the objection ID player variable that's set by this. I believe it's 10 because I had to play test this and I had to know that 10 is accident because accident comes up a lot and I had to enter it manually sometimes. So it checks if the last item the player pulled up was this, and I'm overcomplicating this while I'm explaining it. So I do that. I did everything in this game. I wrote out the script, like 30,000 words of it just in a Google Doc, like with all the different possibilities, and I painstakingly, line by line, copied it and added events. Like, see the screen just go black. I had to manually do that. That is actually, it's a UI image in front of the camera. I know there's ways to make a camera go black in Unity. That was just quicker to do it that way. Actually, speaking of the camera, how the camera works in this game is I have a long list of locations that have coordinates set them, and I change the camera's coordinates to one of the things on the list when I need to. Like, there's a coordinate for the coffin, there's one for each of the witnesses. When it's doing this, it's just moving the camera back and forth between these angles. Honestly, I should show... I'm going to do a behind-the-scenes video where I'm more eloquent with this when I get the chance, but show what the... Actually, you know what? Fuck it. This is going to put stress on my computer, because streaming a game and also pulling it up, because I'm talking about it, I can... I'll pull up. I'll show how complicated some of this dialogue gets. Yeah, I've deleted all those old projects. Well, no, I'm moving them to a flash drive. What do I do on this one again? You press on this one, which unlocks 2 new statements, and then you counter the second one with the blockchain. Honestly, the biggest fear I have with this game is the difficulty. Because, I mean, I wrote it, I know the mystery. There are a few parts that I understand are a bit difficult. And I try to mitigate the difficultness in any way I go. That one was a bit too difficult. It's at a point where the game is out in 10 days. I cannot seriously rewrite it in any meaningful way. Just small adjustments here and there. But other than that, it's a design freeze at this point. Okay. And this one's easy. Like, I'm pretty sure I show a close-up of the sink right before that becomes important. And I feel like that's the only way players are gonna get that. If I ever write another game like this, which I very much would like to do... what was this? It's not on Trap. No, it's on Trapdoor. If I ever do something like this again, I should be less obtuse. I just want to throw everything I could into this game. And I'm so proud of how it turned out. Anyway, I've just reached the end of Act 1, which is what I was going for. Yeah, I don't know. That continue button, I hate. I don't know. It must be something in the Pixel Crusher script that manually alters the size of it, because it will not let me make it bigger in the editor or when I go into the resources for it. I have to look into that. Oh, I have so much to do before this game. But anyway, I've reached the end of Act 1, and now we can get new content that I can read. Okay. And we reach the basement, the next investigation scene. Basement furnace room, 2:15 p.m. I can't believe you talked me into jumping down here. I thought it was fun, like jumping on a trampoline. Trampolines don't normally have blood on them. You know, honestly, what? Nope, it's too late to change it, but they would not in real life jump down there. But it's a video game. Don't worry, we didn't land on the blood stain. Whatever, let's just search for evidence the killer may have left behind. Okay, and we got a whole nother scene to investigate. What should we investigate? Let's look at the top hat. It's a top hat. Oh shit. The victims? Yeah, he wore that during all of his shows. Except during today's show for some reason. I wonder why. Maybe because... Oh, an error. We found our first error. It has an extra bracket. There, I'll just write exactly as it is. I'll know what that is. I wonder why he didn't wear his hat. Maybe he left it down here yesterday? Then why wouldn't he come back and grab it? Something about that hat feels important. Yeah, it does. I bet that hat's important. Let's double check. How's that? Okay, right thumbnail. Randall Hamilton's top hat. He did not wear it during the show, found in the basement for some reason. Also this, tape that seems to show Minerva was on stage B during the recording. Like, I know the twist, and... I'm spoiling it. I won't spoil it in this one, but I will inevitably, on Wednesday when I stream Act 3, end up spoiling it. I really hope this manages to be one of those things where you see it and you're looking at it, and you look at it 1,000 times before you realize, oh shit. Wait, which one did I start importing? Or loading, which causes things to be imported. Like, did I load Speedwave or Smoke and Mirrors? Be awkward if I load Speedwave. Is that blood? Little Dog and Rampa. Shout out. Given the paint cans and the fact that it's pink, I'm gonna say that's paint. Still wet. Wait, do you see these tracks? I do. You know what these tracks mean? The ladder was... Wait, no, that's the right one. The killer walked through paint. The tracks mean the killer walked through paint. Do these look like footprints to you? Maybe the killer has really long, really skinny feet? Are you messing with me? Please tell me you're messing with me. Yeah, that was a joke. I'm not dumb. I genuinely don't know, looking at my own writing, how dumb Detective Green is. They have to be somewhat smart. They solved the mystery. But there are moments. Do you know what these tracks mean? The floor was deliberately painted to look like this. The tracks mean the floor was deliberately painted to look like this. What? Yeah, it's a cool design to break up the monotony of the gray floor. Are you messing? Yep. Okay. And it loops back, and the answer is the ladder was moved. From somewhere over here to where it is now by the door. The ladder was moved. Correct. The ladder was sitting by the paint. Okay. Oh, and that Unity's open, so now I'm... Hold on. Yes. Load. Okay, I'm going to... little behind-the-scenes peek. What is the most complicated conversation? I don't know. Yes, Inspector.tick. I'm going back to the game while you load. Correct, the ladder was sitting by the paint that someone knocked over the paint cans, then they moved the ladder next to the door. Obtain notes on spilled paint. But why move the ladder? I mean, it's obvious, right? To hide it was being used in the murder. But that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Until you realize that it does eventually. Why would the killer move the ladder from the mattress to the paint cans, then move it again to the door? We're missing something here. I just don't know what. Yeah, so if they climbed up the ladder to stab through the coffin, that means it would be over here. It's now over here, but it used to be over here. Why, though? Okay, and I'm opening up the dialogue database. Why do I say do when I don't have anything to say? Got all these conversations. Oh, Oh, right. I for testing purposes, kept the dialogue scripts from Yo Mr. White, which is another game that I might play on the stream sometimes. But yeah, we've got all these long conversations. That's a short one. Ignore that. This is what arguments look like. Well, this is what presents look like. It splits depending on whether or not you have the right thing selected. Zoom out. And bigger than this, we can see this is how all of the different argument statements end up working. And okay, good. That's not back. If I saw the little red thing, I was like, oh no, is it broken? No. What's the most complicated? Minerva argument 1 is really, really complicated. Should have broken this one up a bunch. How complicated is, the final argument? Oh, actually not that bad. Yeah, it's a simple one. Oh, missing knife argument. That one is... No, right, that's just a couple simple questions. None of them are too complicated, actually, now that I think about it. But I'm just showing off how complex some of these questions are. I remember this one being complicated. Yeah, this one was real complicated. Yeah. And, horse. Horse stage. This is... I should have broke this up. That is so many questions, and it just all loops back to the question acting. But yeah, we'll look into what the dialogue editor looks like and how these conversations are structured. And I closed you. There, now you're closed. What haven't I looked at? Let's look at the cooler. What's the cooler doing down here? It's being chill. Keeping things cold, I'd imagine. Almost got the joke right. Actually, I was going to say, oh, I should do that joke, but no, I did a different joke. Let me check what's in it. There are a few things where it's just a problem. I do not have a full art team. The art I got was someone working in their spare time while also being full-time on another project. I got 10 distinct 11 pieces of art total from Daria Bordeaux, and that was more than enough for the game. But there are a few moments like this where I can't just show a little animation if we're going up and opening the cooler because I don't have the art for that, so it goes black whenever Palmer does something for prints or opens the cooler. Never mind, it's empty. I wonder what they kept in there. Ooh, I know, that's where they kept the dry ice. Dry ice? Is this really cold stuff that makes a lot of smoke? And also a lot of mirrors. Horace had me help him carry it from the cooler to the stage sometimes. You carry it from this basement to the stage? No, they normally keep the cooler in the dressing room. Then why is it down here? I don't know, no one ever tells me anything. Was that footprint? Good eye, I almost missed that. The lid of the cooler must have been covered in dust. This is the footprint, by the way. It's kind of faint. Oh, by the way, that footprint, initially I was gonna... so this paint, this is a 2D sprite that is placed in the scene. Initially I was gonna do that with a footprint, but then I can just add 2 white circles to the texture for the cooler. The lid of the cooler must have been covered in dust, and someone stepped on the cooler and wiped it away. The thing I'm confused about is why someone would step onto the cooler. Obtain notes on cooler. Mr. Gorman, would you mind moving this cooler for me? Sure! And this is actually a 2D image. The cooler doesn't have any paint on its bottom, and there's a dry spot underneath it. Meaning it was brought down here before the paint cans were knocked over. Okay, let me double check that last couple items. This is a unique angle. Spilled paint found in the basement that shows the ladder was moved from the southeast corner to the doorway, correct. Notes on cooler. A cooler used to store dry ice, found empty in the basement. Someone stepped on it. Yes. Oh, and another thing, the cooler doesn't actually move. At first I did that and it caused slight problems with like just altering the position, but it's kept inside another object, which makes it more complicated. There's a cooler here and there's a cooler here, and when the cooler moves, one turns off, one turns on. Oh, also, another small detail about how this game works. There are box colliders around all of these things, so there's more precise things to click on instead of like trying to click on a ladder rung. There's a box around the ladder. That's what the dialogue system is going to. Let's click on the furnace. This is the furnace they used to keep the building warm. It's good to see it working again. It wasn't working in the morning, so the entire building was really cold. Clarify what you mean by this morning. Before the magic show, I mean. Why did the furnace suddenly get hot? Well, the old guy usually goes down and puts a few pieces of wood in the furnace between shows. Something he didn't do this time, obviously. Where's the wood? Where's the wood? That's my favorite Wendy's ad campaign. Where's the wood? Right here. Where's the wood? Right here. Show me two woods old enough to be my wood, and I'll square off on them like the wood, and oh look, there's evidence. Why the fuck well, I was gonna say why the fuck are you watching this, because it's bad, but no one's watching this. Oh, and that makes me sad. Yeah. Hey, if you start watching, comment in the chat and I will be elated. Where's the wood? Well, normally it sits beside the furnace. I guess someone must have shoved it all in the furnace. Detective, you know who must have put wood in the furnace? Clearly, Randall Hamilton put I can't fucking talk. Clearly, Randall Hamilton put wood in the furnace. I mean, you said Randall Hamilton always puts the wood in the furnace. Hamilton put the wood in the furnace. Hamilton. That's Hamilton. Fuck. I'm gonna call him Hamilton now. No. But he was the one in charge of putting wood in the furnace. True, but he died before the furnace got hot. Which means, well, actually, he died before the furnace got hot. That's something that Palmer would think. Like, she would think. No, that is what Palmer said is untrue, but she wouldn't know it's untrue, and the player would also assume that, so it's fine. Which means someone else must have done it. Detective, do you know who must have put the wood in the furnace? Rick Gordman. Rick Gordman put the wood in the furnace. What? I didn't! I swear! No, it couldn't have been Gordman. He's been talking to the police since the moment the stabbing happened. Which means someone else must have done it. Detective, do you know who must have put the wood in the furnace? The killer. It was the killer. The killer put the wood in the furnace. Correct. Huh? Why would they do that? The furnace wasn't running hot before the murder, right? Meaning that maybe they need to burn a piece of evidence. Wait a minute, I think I see something. What are you? Ah! Ow! That's gonna sting. Why the hell did you just stick your hand in a furnace to get this evidence? What is that? It's a burnt scrap of leather. Dark blue leather, something the killer wanted to destroy. Obtain notes on furnace. Are you okay? Let me check that. The building's furnace. The killer put wooden logs in it to burn a piece of evidence. A scrap of dark blue leather was found inside. Man, it's unfortunate that we don't have any witnesses that this dark blue scrap of leather could belong to. Are you okay? I'll be fine. Be tough, Detective Green. What haven't I checked yet? Have I checked the ladder? I don't think I've checked the ladder. Look, it's a step... Oh, right, this. Look, it's a step ladder. No, it isn't. Step ladders are freestanding. This one needs to be leaned against a wall. It's a step ladder because its dad married your mom. I've played Ace. I like Ace Attorney. Okay, there's a dog and romper joke. There's an Ace Attorney joke. It's the basement. That is. What? The killer must have used this ladder to climb up below the stage so they could stab the victim. That explains the bloody prints the killer climbed down after covering their hands in blood. This is what she's talking about, by the way. The bloody prints on the ladder. Wait, fingerprints? That means we know who the killer is. No, not fingerprints, glove prints. The killer was wearing gloves. Obtains notes on movable ladder. Double check. Oh, that's a... There's a minor detail that you can figure out from this ladder about the development of this game. I'm not going to say it, and honestly, it's not major enough to fix. I'll leave it in as a little thing that if someone ever tells me they figured out what I'm talking about, I'll give them a cookie. A movable ladder was used as part of the coffin trick, covered in bloody glove prints left by the killer. Ursula and Madame Minerva were both wearing gloves. True, but neither of them had bloody hands, meaning that someone put on a pair of gloves, killed Hamilton, then got rid of the gloves. Okay, let's save Rick for last. Look, it's the door the killer ran through. Stop! Don't touch anything, huh? Let me check for prints first. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, done. There aren't any prints on this door, meaning the killer was wearing gloves as established. Or they didn't open the door with their hands, or they wiped the prints away. Also possibilities. Let's check what's on the other side of this door. Huh? It's locked. Wait, did I lock this one? What do you mean? So, there are two doors you need to get through to get to this furnace room. Right. Oh shit, that map doesn't... The map's slightly off. That's a big thing. This should stretch all the way to this. I have to replace map. Okay. 2 weeks ago, the dead guy asked me to lock both doors to keep anyone from wandering into this room. This room. And the two doors are this one and this one. Okay. And this should extend all the way to here. It's a long stairway. Presumably to keep anyone from seeing the mattress and figuring out this trick. Isn't that a safety Oh! Isn't that a safety problem, Rick Gordman? Or should I say, Detective Green? What if someone got stuck in the basement? Like us, for instance. Well, the stairway door can be opened from the basement side when it's locked. But this one locks on both sides. And you locked both doors? Well, that's what I was supposed to do. Except I got lazy and only locked one of them. Which one? That's the thing, I don't remember. Does anyone else have the keys to the door? Nope, just me. Then, this door was the locked one by virtue of the fact that it's locked. I guess that makes sense. Awesome, and we got notes on... Oh, notes on locked door. There are two doors to the basement storage room. One at the top of the stairs can be opened from the basement side when locked. The other connecting the storage room to the furnace room cannot. The furnace room door was locked when the basement was explored. Rick remembers locking on one of the two doors. These doors can only be locked or unlocked by Rick's keys. Of course, this creates a problem. It does. Detective, explain to Mr. Gordman what problem the locked door creates. Who locked it? We don't know who locked this door. Huh? I locked it. I mean, I was the only one with the key, so I had to. I said that literally 5 seconds ago. I guess I wasn't paying attention. Don't worry, I won't pay attention either. Just try again. Okay. The problem is, why did the victim need to have the door locked? Why did the victim need to have the door locked? To preserve the integrity of his magic trick. I just explained that. I guess I wasn't paying attention. Don't worry, I won't pay again either. The correct answer is, if this door is locked and the killer escaped through this door, that's a problem. Since he has the only keys. How did the killer escape? Bingo. How did our killer escape through a locked door? The only entrances to this room are the trap door the trap door would be over here. You can't see it. Would be the trap door and this door. There have been cops keeping watch on the stage above the trapdoor since the killing happened, so that option doesn't work. Oh god, do you know what that means? What? The killer is still down here! That's right, and their name is Detective Rin. Where? Behind the ladder? Inside the furnace? This is a small room. There isn't anywhere for the killer to hide. The question remains, how did they escape through a locked door? Maybe they left a clue on the other side of the room? Perhaps. Mr. Gordman, unlock the door for us. Right. Just give me a second. Uh-oh. What? So I have a bad habit of misplacing my keys. Please don't tell me you lost them. No! I know exactly where they are. Because I lose them so much, I attach them to my phone. The thing is, I gave my phone to Madame Minerva's assistant so she could take a photo of us. And I, forgot to take my phone back. Great. This is great. We can't finish our investigation and we're locked in the smelly basement. Great. And finally, let's talk to the dumbass. She's amazing, right? Who? Madame Minerva. She talked to the ghost of the dead guy and helped solve our case. This doesn't quite how I remember things going. But didn't you ask Madame Minerva what the victim's spirit said? No, I allowed Minerva to say what she knew. Ghosts aren't real, and even if they were, I highly doubt the only person who can talk to them works in daytime television. Any knowledge Minerva knows, she knows through some other method. You're wrong. If Madame Minerva was a fraud, why would they let her on TV? Hold on. Madame Minerva knew about the trapdoor. She did, which is suspicious. She could have deduced it from seeing the trick, but I think there's another way she found out. By being the killer? Perhaps, but there's another way she could have found out. Huh? Oh, this person must have told her about the trapdoor. Ramilton. Rick must have told... No! Huh? I did? You didn't. Someone else told Minerva about the trapdoor. Huh? Oh, this person must have told her. Do these link to the wrong ones? The victim... Son of a bitch, those are right. That's an error. The victim told her about the trapdoor. Hamilton? An interesting idea, but there's no evidence to support it. Someone else told Minerva about the trapdoor. Okay. The correct answer is Jenny Loyal, because she was on stage, she noticed it. Her assistant Jenny told her about the trapdoor. That's my guess as well. Jenny Loyal was wandering around the crime scene. She could have figured out the trapdoor trick, the same as us, and then told Minerva. My bet is Minerva had to figure out what was happening so she could deceive us into thinking she could talk to the victim's spirit. The question is, why? To get attention for solving the case or to lead us in the wrong direction? Did you see how angry Horace got with her? I think there's bad blood between them. We'll have to ask Horace about that once we get out of here. Speaking of getting out of here, we've investigated everything here we can. I'll call one of the uniformed officers, have them toss down a rope. Hold on, I don't think that'll be necessary. There's another way out of this room, there has to be. Because the killer escaped through it? Because of that and because of another reason. This piece of evidence proves there's another way out of the basement. And I believe there are two different things that can answer this question. I know one of them is Notes on Magic Trick. I know that I chose another one. During his show, Hamilton kept the basement door locked but still made it back to the stage. During his... What? Did I do the same line of dialogue twice? This is why we play test. This is why I'm doing this. The stage. Meaning there's another way out here besides the basement door. Where is this exit located? Behind the furnace. The exit is located behind the furnace. Behind the furnace? The furnace weighs hundreds of pounds. That's not how you spell weighs, Palmer. How do you suggest we move it? Maybe there's a secret switch? If there was, we would have noticed it while investigating. Wait, hold on, I know where the exit is located. Beneath the mattress. The exit is located underneath the mattress. Under the mattress, are you suggesting that this building has a second secret basement? It's the only answer that makes sense. No, what makes sense is you just saying random things and hoping that they stick. Wait, hold on, I know where the exit is located. It's above the paint cans, because things fell down onto the paint cans, meaning there must be something for them to fall from. The exit is located above the paint cans. Look at this map. Notice how the corner with the paint cans is right below Hamilton's dressing room. It is, isn't it? Plus, there's that thing from the dressing room that was found down here. What thing from the dressing room did we find in the basement? And actually, this is a really interesting thing. You can do cooler or top hat, and then it asks for what else, and the other one will work. It worked out well, I'm pretty sure, when I programmed it. I hope it doesn't cause a game-breaking bug, because it takes full playthrough to see this scene again. Well, half of a full playthrough. The dry ice cooler from the dressing room was sitting in the basement for some reason. That alone doesn't prove there's a route to the dressing room from this basement. True, but that isn't the only thing from the dressing room we found. What else from the dressing room did we find in the basement? We also found the top hat. The victim's top hat was found in the basement when it should have been found in the dressing room. I have a question. What? Can't you just figure out there's a hole in the ceiling by looking at it? Oh. Huh, now when you look at that, that is definitely a panel you could slide away. Is that how you spell definitely? I can never spell definitely. Or defiantly, which I had to spell check because that word is mentioned in Miss Valiant was editing that earlier. And that's a book that I've been writing for way too long that hopefully will come out. Hopefully will be done by the end of the year. Publishing takes forever. Huh, now that I look at that, that is definitely a panel you could slide away. That must be how the killer got away. There's a problem with your theory, detective. How did they climb up there? Using the ladder, duh. Ah, and why did they move the ladder? To keep us from noticing the route to the dressing room. Yes, that makes sense. One more question, detective. How did they move this ladder? Well, if they escaped through the dressing room, then they also moved the ladder from the dressing room. There are holes in your theory, detective. But how did they sneak out of the basement then? I don't know. Maybe this dressing room will hold some clues. And we arrive in the dressing room. Just like I thought, the panel led us to the victim's dressing room. Bit of a dump. Well, I guess I should go grab my keys. While you're doing that, I need you to grab Mr. Sorley and bring him back here. I have some questions for him. Sure thing, detective. Now then, we have a dressing room to search. Let's check out the cupboard, because we don't have to. This is the cupboard we just climbed out of. There's a hole in the bottom that leads to the basement. Who are you talking to? I don't know. Let's look at the headphones. Look, headphones! It seems someone was listening to music before the show. Let's play it, see what he was listening to. Not bad. The joke there, you won't get it on your first playthrough, is that that's Palmer's fight theme. Like, because Rick had his and Minerva had hers. This is Palmer's when you fight her in a minute. And it goes back. Now let's look at the three things that actually matter. The rusty sink. Look at the sink, it's so rusty. Venture. It is Rusty Venture. It is addicted to caffeine pills and is a bad father. But isn't evil. It rejected Henry Killinger, which is a defining character moment. I rewatched all of the Venture Bros earlier. I said that a few days ago. They know. Whatever. It's an old building. What's your point? Seriously, though, this is the rustiest fucking sink ever. I'm not sure. It feels like something about this sink is important. Let me see if... let me turn it on, see if there's anything odd about it. Huh? Water isn't coming out. The sink! It's frozen! Let it go! How did that happen? Rick said the building was cold this morning, but I doubt it was this cold. Obtained notes on broken sink. The sink was frozen. Somehow I know that's important. Making sure the player pays attention. Rusty old sink in Hamilton's dressing room. The tap was found frozen. Interesting. What else can we look at? Let's look at the fucking blood stain. This chair looks comfy. I bet you would fall asleep the second you fell. Oh god! That's the dumbest fucking typo! This chair looks so comfy, I bet you would fall asleep the second you fell asleep in it. Hold on, I'm screenshotting that so I don't forget. You're fucking brilliant! This is like fucking Shiro... This is Shiro Emiya fucking quote. It's like, people die when they are killed, and the archer class is filled with archers, and... Oh... That auto went... If you dig through the files of the game, which you shouldn't do, or you can, I don't care, you will find this! Oh, I was gonna just save to my desktop, but that's perfect. This chair looks so comfy, I bet you would fall asleep the second you fall asleep in it. Okay, I'll make a note, I'll fix it. Fall asleep the second you... Okay. Focus on the investigation, detective. It's just a chair. And also, it doesn't look that comfy. It's just getting it in the player's mind that someone fell asleep in this chair. Wait, what's that on the ground? You know, the thing is, canonically... Palmer glanced in this room earlier, but didn't do a full investigation. And we've been in here for several minutes. How is that blood stain so hidden? Because the player has to notice it. But still, it's ridiculous. It's blood! Obtain notes on chair. How did blood get here in the dressing room? Double check. Blood stain was found on the ground next to the chair. Now the dressing room. Good. All my screenshots. They go gray, then orange, then pinkish. It goes through the game. Oh no, we'll have to test to see if it's the victim's blood. And even then, this could have been left there days before the murder. Stop with your logic. This is a clue, Palmer. Actually, fun fact. Janet is her first name, Janet. It's mentioned once in the game. Sergeant Palmer is not a character created for this game. She's a character that I created in a short story I wrote last year called His War. And I haven't published it yet, but she's that's an interesting fun fact. She's nicer in this than she was in that. But still kind of mean in this. There's some letters sitting on the desk, and you're not supposed to be able to read them. It's supposed to be just squiggles, but it is the actual text, but kind of blurred, so you could kind of get it. There's some letters sitting on this desk, presumably the hate mail that Horace mentioned. Wait, I don't remember. Does Minerva write in Comic Sans? I think Minerva's handwriting might be Comic Sans. No, that can't be. I have the original files. I could check if Minerva's handwriting is Comic Sans. No, it's not worth the effort. Especially because if I look close, that's definitely Comic Sans. I just realized, I was like, oh, what's the handwriting like font? Oh, Comic Sans, sure. But our murderer writes in Comic Sans. My god. Hold on. Editing the game so that Minerva's boss theme is Megalovania. Presumably the hate mail Horace mentioned. But actually, no. It's the Homestuck version of Megalovania. Honestly, yeah, I could see Minerva identifying a lot. Madame Minerva kins Vriska Circuit. This is canon. If you mention this to me ever, I will kill you. I will snap your neck if you bring that up. But yes, canonically, Madame Minerva kins Vriska Circuit. Or is it Vriska? I haven't read Homestuck in years, and I just did a big video essay on it, which made me have to reread parts of Homestuck, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. There's a lot of small stuff in Homestuck that I did not remember, especially from the later parts, that's really good. God, bringing Vriska back to life killed the ending of that comic. And I made a video saying that the ending of the comic was good. Maybe you should make a sequel to it called The Moment Homestuck Died. That's just about fucking Vriska coming back to life. Because, like, her death is one of the better moments in the comic. It's great. It's a good end to her as a character. But then she comes back. It's fucking bullshit. There are 2 letters here, neither has a return address. We'll start with the one on the right. According to the envelope, this one was written 2 weeks ago to a dishonest fraud. You have taken a step too far. You're a bigger fraud than everyone you've ever #exposed. Retract your slanderous lies, or you'll end up with another bullet, and you won't walk away from this one. Hold on. Because I'm pretty sure I saw a typo there and just blew past it. Like, I think there was an extra quotation mark. Although I could just be blind. I could be deluding myself. I talked about Homestuck so hard that my vision's gone. What was I doing? Oh, right, I was playtesting a video game. Retract your slanderous lies or you end up with another bullet and you want to walk away from this one. Someone was mad about Ramilton's debunking articles. Mad enough to threaten to kill a man who is now dead. Unfortunately, it doesn't say who sent it or what article it's referring to. Another bullet. That implies Hamilton was shot sometime in the past. Did he have a military history? Not as far as I am aware. The second letter was written 2 days ago to a mediocre magician. I know about what happened 10 years ago. I know what you did. I don't know why I'm doing this fucking voice. Make him retract the article or I'll release everything I know. I'm sure he'd love to know how that trick went, about how that trick went wrong. It changed from threatening murder to threatening to release a secret. Why the change? There's a reason. How that trick went wrong. I think I know what that's referring to. So do I. The letter is referring to this. Second of the 3 times you have to present the accident. The accident 10 years ago, the one that led to the death of Horace's father and the end of Hamilton's career. Our mysterious letter writer knows something about it, or at least claims to. Hold on, what's under that envelope? It's a piece of newspaper. A 10-year-old newspaper about our victim. Do you think it's about the accident? How about we read it? Magic trick goes wrong. Yes, Detective Green, it's about the goddamn accident. During a performance by the stupendous Hamilton brothers. Is it performance or performance? I always get it backwards. Hold on. No, why did it auto-complete to performance or performance? Okay. Okay, one isn't English. That's... Okay, it's performance. Performance. The stupendous Hamilton brothers. The elder Hamilton brother was accidentally shot in the lower back. According to Randall Hamilton, he and his brother's show will be put on indefinite hiatus as he recovers from his injuries. Police have begun investigating for possible foul play, but as of now are unable to locate the gun used in the shooting. That's all it says, barely more than a headline. Obtained 2 things at once. Should there be a period? I think I brain farted when I was writing hate. Okay, let's just look at these, make sure there's no problems. 2 letters sent 10 apart. The first sent 2 weeks ago, says you have taken a step too far. You're a big fraud when you've better exposed. Oh, that's why I was confused, because I saw this and then the quotation mark. Yeah, that's good, that's good. What? Don't open that. Okay. You've ever exposed it? I already read this to double check. Yes. I was delivered with this 10-year-old newspaper article about the article that ended. Article about the article! Yes! An article! He wrote an article so hard that he couldn't be a magician anymore. Actually, that might get... Actually, doing like what Hamilton does might have gotten blacklisted in real life. Like with that masked magician, like... Or maybe not, because Penn and Teller, like... They got half blacklisted, but they were still most successful magicians in years. I spell good. Elder Hamilton brother was actually shot in the lower back, according to Randall Hamilton. He and his brother showed... No, there's some... Honestly, they wouldn't write a newspaper article like that in real life, but it works for this. The errors. Make him retract the article. What was that? Sorry, I was just thinking out loud. Hashtag... Ed Sheeran? Who wrote Thinking Out Loud? It's a British person. Is it him or Harry Styles? I'm the only one to ever mix up those 2 people. Ed Sheeran, yes. I remembered it was a British dude, and Harry Styles is all... Shut up. So I'm just thinking out loud. We've looked at everything, at about everything we can. Sergeant, there's something that's bothering about this case. One of those irregularities you mentioned. I'm a fan of Columbo, by the way. It's about those letters. They don't make sense. What about the letters doesn't make sense? Hold on. This, how they were sent is the right one. Why they were sent. What do you mean? They were sent because someone was mad about an article Hamilton wrote. Oh, right. But there was another thing that doesn't make sense. Where they were sent. What do you mean? They were sent to Hamilton, weren't they? Oh, right, yeah. No, the thing that doesn't make sense is how they were sent. I don't understand how they were sent. What do you mean? Letters didn't have postage or even an address. They couldn't have been mailed. Which means they were hand-delivered. Which means a suspect came into this building. Is that... Oh, okay, you can see the envelopes. I should add, neither has an address. Yeah, that might be too unclear. Which means they were hand-delivered, which means our suspect came to this building. There's something else that was bothering me. It's about who the letters were sent to. Does Palmer look... It's because the camera is at a different angle. She looks short. What's wrong about who they were sent to? They were sent to Randall Hamilton. Ramilton, and he's dead now. What's strange about that? They were letters threatening Hamilton found in his dressing room. I think it's more complicated than that. What's wrong with who they were sent to? They weren't sent to Hamilton. What are you talking about? Of course they were. We found them in his dressing room. In the first layer, it's clearly talking about an article that Hamilton wrote. I think it's more complicated than that. What's wrong with who they were sent to? They were sent to 2 different people. The letters were sent to 2 different people. What? They had 2 different names written on them. So, maybe your suspect felt like using a different name for some reason. Yeah, but look at this one. Yeah, but look at this. One says your slanderous lies, while the other says make him retract the article. The first one was clearly sent to Hamilton, but the second one was written to someone else. Who? Second letter was written to this person. Madame Minerva, no. Second letter was written to Madame Minerva. That makes no sense, but it's an option. I tried to, as a consistency, always give 3 options. Madame Minerva, why? To make her make Hamilton retract his article? And why would Hamilton have listened to her? Because, well, plot twist, new theory. So the second letter was written to this person, the killer. It was written to the killer. What? Are you saying the killer wrote threatening letters to themselves, then mailed it? Victim should be them. I'm sure I can figure that out. I was able to figure out all my notes last night, although a few of them were like, what? No. Yes! That's idiotic. Kidding, I'm kidding. The second letter was written to this person, Horace Sorley. The second letter was written to Horace. So instead of trying to threaten Hamilton, our letter writer decided to threaten his nephew. What happened 10 years ago? How the trick went wrong. Horace knows more about that accident than he lets on. When he gets here, we'll have to ask him about the trick that led to Randolph shooting his father. Sergeant, looking over the evidence, I think we've made a mistaken assumption. Why we assumed that was false when the accident happened. We're wrong about when the accident happened. The newspaper scrap says it happened 10 years ago. So does the letter. So did Horace. But what if it happened at a different point in time? Like the future, maybe? Detective, what the hell are you even talking about? I'm talking about the clues! Well, maybe you should check them again before you say another stupid thing. But do we assume that is false? Who was involved in the trick? The killer was involved in the... No, they weren't. We were wrong about who was involved in the trick. We are, according to Horace, the only people involved were him, his father, and his uncle. Who else was involved? Someone else, maybe? You don't seem very sure. Well, let me check the evidence again. But do we assume that is false? Who got shot? See, it's clever. Notice, never says which brother got shot. And also... Scarring from an older wound was also found in the victim's back. We've been operating under the assumption that Horace's father was the one who got shot, or said that his father died because of the accidental shooting. But his father didn't get shot. Randall did. What? The newspaper didn't specify which brother got shot, and the letter writer said Randall had been shot once before, so the letter writer didn't do their research. No, Randall Hamilton definitely got shot. This piece of evidence proves it. The autopsy, which I just talked about, and it's too late now, but you have to present the autopsy like 3 times in a row coming up. Oh, that was a bit dumb. Look at this autopsy scar. I already talked about this. That's the same place the accident victim got shot. We need to talk to Horace about this immediately. Talk to me about what? I grabbed Horace just like you asked. Plus, I got a special surprise. What's the surprise? It's in my pocket. Why is my hand always in my pocket? Because it's holding on to the murder weapon. All this time, I'm the killer. I've been hiding the weapon in my pocket. Could you imagine? Good, we have questions for him. And it changes to the stage theme, which is essentially Horace's theme for this. What do you need to know about the accident? You lied to us, Mr. Sorley. You said that Randall shot your father. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Oh, I see why you're confused. I should have been more specific about the traumatic incident that ruined my family. Your father shot Uncle Randy, which brought an end to Uncle Randy's career. But you said your father died 10 years ago. He did. He hung himself. Oh. He and my uncle both blamed themselves for the accident. My father didn't like living with that guilt, which is a bit of a plot motif in multiple things I've written, but especially this. But your uncle lived. Even if your father was responsible, it's not like he killed his brother. No, but the damage was... Why the fuck are you here, Rick? I could just open up the game and edit these real time, but I'm not doing that because I'm dumb, I guess. The bullet grazed Uncle Randy's spine. He lost all feeling in the left side of his body. Magic requires quick, precise fingers to perform tricks. After the accident, Uncle Randy couldn't do magic anymore. Even in our new show, the only difficult thing he did was the coffin drop. His main job was to amplify the crowd while he handled the precise parts. Huh, I guess you were right. The old guy didn't really do much, except die! Get wrecked, bitch! Thank you, by the way, for forcing me to relive these nightmares, sorry. No, I suppose you're just doing your job. I was there 10 years ago when Uncle Randy got shot. In my nightmares, I still see him dropping to the ground and lying there in a pool of his own blood. It seems my nightmares have come true once more. Fucking baller line, good me! What do you need to know? About the cooler. We found a cooler in the basement. Furnace room. According to Rick, it was for storing dry ice. Huh? What was it doing down there? When I went on stage, it was sitting in the cupboard. The cupboard with the hole that leads to the basement? Yes, we covered it with the cooler to keep anyone from noticing it. Uncle Randy normally moves the cooler off the panel right before he goes on stage. I don't understand how it ended up in the basement. Well, it was positioned right over the hole to the basement, idiot. Maybe your uncle... Okay, yeah, Detective Green's explaining it. Maybe your uncle forgot to grab it, then it fell down the hole when the killer climbed up the ladder. When the killer did what? Because Horace missed half the investigation. He doesn't know what's going on. There wasn't any dry ice in that cooler when we opened it. That's strange. There should have been at least one bag. We used 2 bags of dry ice. That should say brick. Because later it says brick. Because in a second they say they have to use gloves. You wouldn't need gloves if it was in a bag. Okay. This morning we were down to our last 2 bricks. I was going to go to the store between shows and get some more. You said there would have been one left, though. I actually spilled one while carrying it to the stage. I'm going to assume he has some sort of carrying case to take it to the stage that he was carrying it in, because it wasn't in a bag. Forcing us to do the trick without any dry ice. Oh, that explains why you needed Rick to turn off the lights. Couldn't you have just used something instead of dry ice? Not really. Dry ice is incredibly cold. Cold enough to flash freeze water. Hint, hint. We have to wear gloves when we touch it to avoid freezing the skin on our hands off. Yes, because it's either brick or bag, and it's brick, because that's more important. When it's exposed to air, it sublimates, turning from a solid into a cloud of white smoke. Obtain notes on dry ice. I'm pretty sure... Yeah, this is just a fucking photo of dry ice. I didn't have the art skill to... And it's never actually seen, because it's all been destroyed, so... Good enough. Frozen carbon dioxide, aka dry ice, was used during the magic show to create massive clouds so cold it must be handled while wearing gloves. This morning there were 2 bags in the cooler. One was spilled by Horace. Other brick has gone missing. Beautiful spelling. Did you find anything else in the basement? We should ask him about the other thing we found in the basement. We also found this hat in the basement. Well, that explains why I was on stage. Uncle Randy used to keep his hat and his coat in the cupboard before shows. He was wearing his jacket but not his hat when he walked on stage. I suppose it must have fallen down with the cooler. His coat? No, he said jacket. Coats and jackets aren't the same thing. That doesn't make sense. The cooler fell down after he'd already gone on stage. It didn't, though. Oh, in that case, I suppose he just forgot it. The victim was wearing a white shirt, black vest, and red coat, all of which were stained by blood. Cuts were found in the shirt and vest, presumably caused by the stabbing. That's what the autopsy says. Can you confirm this? Yes? What does that have to do with anything? I'm thinking, something about this doesn't add up right. I don't know if any viewers caught on what he's getting, or what they're getting at, but there's something important there. About the blood by the chair. We found this blood next to your uncle's chair. Blood next to the chair, but Uncle Randy was murdered on stage. Hence our confusion. Did anything happen in this room that could have created that blood? Scuffle between you and your uncle, perhaps? No, nothing like that happened. I mean, there was this one thing, but no, that thing wouldn't have caused any blood. What thing? It's not important. It won't have caused any blood. What do you need to know? Did you know that your sink is broken? It is? It was working earlier. I remember seeing Uncle Randy wash his hands right before I went on stage. Of course, it being broken isn't surprising. That sink is old and terrible. All that water that comes out of it tastes like rust. I assume some pipe or valve broke? Actually, it isn't working because it's frozen. What? I mean, the water from those pipes is always cold in the morning, but I can't imagine how it could have frozen. What do you need to know? Well, those are all the questions we had. No, this isn't over yet. You said earlier that something happened between you and your uncle. That wasn't important. That's for us to decide. Argument time against Horace. He reuses Rick's theme because he only has one argument, so fuck him. I don't know how that blood got there. Besides, all of my uncle's injuries were gained on stage. Detective, here's an argument for you to break. Nothing happened. What do I do? All of the way I do's are broken. Nothing happened. Next. I don't know how that blood got there. What do I do? And just going through all this text, which is mostly flavored, which it should all be the same text, so it's a bit boring. I don't know how that blood got there. Besides, all my uncle's injuries were gained on stage. What do I do? Counter. All my uncle's injuries were gained on stage. Nothing happened. This isn't what you said earlier. I misspoke. You know, for someone who deceives people for a living, you're awful at lying. I don't know how that blood got there. Did your uncle maybe cut himself or get a bloody nose? Not as far as I can remember, which means this injury is the result of some sort of fight. That's a bit of a leap in logic, Palmer. There wasn't any fight! Besides, all my uncle's injuries were gained on stage. Horse is too big right now. I think on the stage he's adjusted slightly. I'll adjust him. Like, he's at like 9/10 of the actual sprite size because he looked too big. I forgot to adjust it for the dressing room. Besides, all my uncle's injuries were gained on stage. All of your uncle's injuries? You have an autopsy, right? I'm sure it says his only injury was a stab wound. No, it fucking doesn't. It doesn't. Nothing happened. I don't know how that blood got there. Liar. Besides, all my uncle's injuries were gained on stage. What? Oh, wrong item. Autopsy is what I needed. No, there was another injury. Right, the gunshot wound from 10 years ago. That doesn't have anything to do with blood! I'm not talking about the shoeing, I'm talking about the hypothermia. Hypothermia. Sections of the lower back around the wound were red and swollen pop hypothermia. That's what the autopsy says. Wait, how did the victim get hypothermia? This is what gave him hypothermia. How do I present? Present. Oh, fuck, I didn't double check that the wrong presents don't bug the game out in the basement. Hypothermia was caused by the brick of dry ice you spilled. Okay, fine, you got me. Earlier, when I was carrying the dry ice to the stage, I tripped and ripped the carrying case open. Uncle Randy was standing by the sink washing his hands and got hit by the dry ice. He went on after me, so I told him to sit there and relax so he could warm up. And you kept it from us? Would I willingly admit to having hurt the victim right before he died? Besides, it doesn't have anything to do with the blood. Then, where did the blood come from? Maybe the security tape shows something? Hold on. Stop. What did you just say? While I was getting my phone back, I stopped to grab the security tape from the hallway outside the dressing rooms. Why did you tell us this sooner? You seem busy. Whatever, just play it for us. Okay, and... Oh. There should be a time in that corner. The camera is placed over the door to the basement storage room under Stage B. This room is on the left. Stage A is in the middle. Madam Minerva's dressing room is on the right. Okay, so at 8 o'clock, Mr. Sorley and the victim head to their dressing room. That's the normal time we arrived. At 10:05, of course, that's Stage A. I usually go a bit early to get things set up. The show started at 10:30. Then at 10:40, someone edited this image using Microsoft Paint? Then at 10:40, why is it grayed out? If the camera glitched out, it's an old camera. Okay, it's working again. At 10:45, the victim walked to Stage A. The stabbing happened 5 minutes later at 10:50. That's wrong a bit. I glanced back here during my initial investigation at 12:15. I didn't do a full search of either of the rooms, but this room was empty by then. Wait, what are you doing? Right, I forgot about that. I checked the door to the basement, but it was locked. Obtained security tape. Which time is shown? That one. Security tape. Someone was doing the 5 was went to stage. 10:40, the camera starts with on self-colored gray. 5 cameras went to the stage. 10. Okay. But I thought it was lazy and didn't walk the one. Obviously, you remembered wrong. Regardless, this confirms what we already suspected. Only the victim and Mr. Sorley ever came into this room. Then, how did the killer get away? They didn't. Palmer argument time. Horace Sorley killed his uncle. There's no killer under the stage. But what about the killer at the top hat? Do either of those prove yes, the killer went down to the basement? Perhaps they fell through earlier when Hamilton was getting ready. Glove prints could have been left years ago. Remember, we haven't tested the blood yet. But we already proved that Horace couldn't have stabbed his uncle. Right, you proved my innocence. No, we just proved Minerva's theory. She claimed you stabbed your uncle after knocking the coffin over. What? Why did my mouse stop working for a second? I think you stabbed him as he was getting into the coffin. Why would wrong? Wait, no. I could have probably made a script that matched it to the different speakers, but I didn't. Why would he get into the coffin after I stabbed him? Why wouldn't he scream? Yeah, why wouldn't the victim fight back? Detective, the answer is obvious. Wait, oh, I don't get it. Why is it obvious? Tell Mr. Victim why the Gordman didn't react to being stabbed. He wanted to die. He wanted to die. Interesting proposition, but not way out of mind. Hold on, I just figured out that he didn't react. He couldn't talk. Victim couldn't scream because he couldn't talk. He was wearing a gag. It was all a really sexual thing. We haven't mentioned that before. This was a BDSM magic show. Those probably exist. He was wearing a gag? He was? No, he wasn't. Even could have fought back. Well, and I just figured... The answer is... because he didn't feel the knife. He didn't feel the knife because of the nerve damage. Bingo, lasting nerve damage from the accident 10 years ago kept him from feeling the knife. Horse stabbed him as he got into the coffin. Afterwards, Horse devoted the knife and deluded us into thinking there was a killer beneath the stage. It didn't hurt my uncle, please don't believe me! Sergeant, my gut tells me he's innocent. We don't deal in gut feelings, detective. We deal in facts. And I've got the facts I need to prove you wrong. Okay, rookie, show me what you've learned. Okay, and then we got another one of these. And just testing that none of them crash it. And this is an infuriating, I'll admit that this is a bullshit argument that you have to press one statement, then press another statement, and then counter a statement, because you can't counter it before you've done the pressing. I mean, I wrote out a walkthrough and I included with the game. So, I mean, you can get through it. Okay. 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 Okay, now let's start pressing. But we found those bloody glove marks in the basement. Again, we don't know when those were left. If there was a killer under the stage, they either escaped through the storage room or the dressing room. They couldn't escape through the storage room because it was locked. And the security tape confirms no one escaped through this room. Do you add that statement to your argument? Sure. Security tape confirms that no one could have left this room at any time. And let's counter it with this, because the security tape shows at 10:40 an opportunity to escape the room. The security tape proves nothing. There was a gap at 10:40. The killer could have slipped out. That doesn't mean anything once you forget that the victim was stabbed at 10:50 after the tape glitched out. But what if he was stabbed earlier? If he was stabbed earlier, he would have died in the dressing room. I'm sure this time gap is important. That's the wrong type of bracket. Yeah, this is like the scripting to make it bold, and I used a curly bracket instead of a square bracket, and that fucked it up. Okay, security tape confirms no one could have left the room at any time. Remind me, what does that security tape show? 10:50 left for stage, 10:40 camera glitched out, 10:45 victim left for stage. I feel like that glitch is important. It's just a glitch, nothing more. Okay. Wouldn't someone in the audience have seen him stab the dude? In theory, yes, but remember, Horace Sorley is a magician. Oh, by the way, it's one of my favorite characters. I was very loose with how these characters should look. It was an idea that I was insistent on, that you have the little, like, you can barely see it, but that's like hearts, spade, diamond, clubs on the bow tie. Remember, Horace Orley is a magician. He does things without being noticed for a living. He's a shitty magician, but he's still a magician. Hamilton didn't feel this because of his nerve damage. The nerve damage from the shooting 10 years ago. Yes, and the numbness from the hypothermia probably didn't help things. But even if he didn't feel the stabbing, wouldn't he have bled out immediately? Not necessarily. People don't normally bleed out until the knife is removed. So he could have stabbed the victim, then pulled the knife out as he closed the coffin lid. Could you add that to your argument? Sure. People don't normally bleed out until the knife is removed. You have to unlock this one because it's important to know that when you do that counting earlier. So you're saying if I got stabbed, I would be fine as long as the knife stayed in? You would bleed out eventually, but it would happen much slower than if the knife had been whipped out. Now what matters, the victim died moments after the stabbing. Okay. Where's this knife now? It'll turn up. Presumably there's some hiding place on the stage that we haven't found yet. We're surely killed his uncle, there's no killer behind the stage, and now we can go through. No. Security tape proves nothing, and now that we know... he could have been stabbed and the knife kept in, what if he was stabbed earlier? If he was stabbed earlier, then we would have died in the dressing room. Now if they left the knife in, he could have been stabbed in the dressing room, walked to the stage, then died when the knife was pulled out. That would explain the blood in the dressing room. That blood could have gone there 1,000 other ways. No, but there's something no one noticed that proves the victim was stabbed in the dressing room. Or proves he was stabbed in the dressing room. His mustache. His mustache proves he was stabbed in the dressing room. What? How? I don't know! Then why would you bring it up? Okay, fine. Mustache is around stabbed in the dressing room. What was stabbed in the dressing room? His hat. His hat proves he was stabbed in the dressing room. What? How? Well, you see, the hat was found in the basement. And I think it's obvious. I think you're an idiot. Maybe if there's definitely something that proves he was stabbed in the dressing room. Or proves he was stabbed in the dressing room. His coat. His coat proves he was stabbed in the dressing room. What? How? I noticed earlier when Horace talked about the hat. His vest and jacket had holes in them from the knife, but his coat didn't. Or at least that's what the autopsy noted. He was stabbed before he put his coat on, meaning he wasn't stabbed on stage. You're basing this on that? What if the medical examiner just forgot to write it down? Maybe. Maybe not. You're the one who's friends with the examiner. Hold on, give me a second. You're fighting for me. Of course I am. My job is to find the killer, and that isn't you. Thank you. Okay, I call the medical examiner. And? You're right, there wasn't any hole in the coat, meaning the victim was stabbed in the dressing room. Success! Not so fast. Need I remind you, we only saw one person go into the dressing room besides the victim. Oh no. Meaning that Horace stabbed him. No, we were so close. You're ignoring that 2-minute gap at 10:40. Or are you even suggesting that the killer snuck down to the basement while Horace was on stage? You're being ridiculous. What if the glitch wasn't coincidental? What if it wasn't a glitch at all? What do you mean? What if instead of the camera turning gray because it glitched, something gray appeared in front of it? Just say what you want to say. I think this thing blocked the camera. How do I present? That should be bolded. I think this thing blocked the camera. Make sure I don't actually solve it. I don't see that would affect a camera. Exactly, none of this makes sense, which means we can't arrest anyone because the killer was a Dracula who uses mind powers to deceive us. You're testing my patience, detective. Well, I'm just messing around. I do have a genuine answer. I think this thing blocked the camera. Dry ice. The killer blocked the camera with the smoke created by dry ice. Remember, there's a block of dry ice that went missing. And according to Horace, the dry ice creates clouds of gray smoke, which could have blocked the camera. We would have seen them open the door to throw the dry ice out. Besides, there's another, much more important reason Horace is the killer. He pulled the knife out of the victim's body and hid it. Why do that if he wasn't a killer? But I didn't, so you say. That should be back to Palmer. All these minor problems, none of these are game breaking, let's just fix it for professionalism. But you were the only one who could have gotten rid of the knife. Now there has to be another way the knife disappeared. I have an idea. Showing the sink so it's in the player's eyes. It's a weird idea, but it's the only explanation of what happened to the knife that makes sense. Okay, what happened to the knife? That should go back to Palmer. It's still in the body. The knife must still be in the body. That's a pretty big thing for the medical examiner to miss. Oh, that means they're in on the criminal conspiracy. No, she isn't. In that case, my other idea about how the knife disappeared must be true. What happened to the knife? Fell down the trapdoor. I fell down the trapdoor into the basement. We checked the basement. There wasn't any knife down there. That's because the killer snuck down there to grab it. Why? Why would they do that? That, Sergeant, is the real mystery. Right when I was starting to think you were smart. If I was smart, in that case you'll love my other idea about what happened to the knife. Clear it, because we're showing the frozen sink. It melted. The knife melted! Okay, nope, I've had enough of your grasping at straws, your half-baked guesses that don't pan out. This isn't half-baked. I've been working this out since we arrived in this room. How could a metal knife melt? The knife wasn't made of metal. It was made out of ice. Or rather, it was an icicle. An icicle? You're claiming the killer carried an icicle to the dressing room from outside? That was actually my initial idea for this story, before I came up with the dry ice thrown on the sink. And I know that wouldn't really work in real life, but bear with me. No, not from outside. It was already in the dressing room. They got from here. Represent? Motherfucker. Okay, they got from here. How they got an icicle from the chair? I mean, I misspoke. No, you said something stupid. The chair, no, they got from here, from the sink. The killer got the icicle from the sink. Remember, the sink was from dry ice. I knew if there was more ice, well, the rest of an icicle. The odds of that happening are astronomical. But is it impossible? And because it didn't go back to Palmer, it's still here. And no, the dresser isn't flush with the wall. I don't really mind that. That doesn't matter. I'm not going to sit here and disprove a negative. If you want me to entertain your ridiculous theory for even a second, show me some evidence. Gladly. This proved that water made from water and that water was the murder weapon. See, this one is bolded. I thought I copy-pasted all the presents. How did some of them not get bolded? Oh, I remember. I remember to bold halfway through making the game, so the ones written out before then were not copy-pasted right. Okay, I'm getting sick of this, detective. Stop messing around and show me actual evidence, gladly. The autopsy is the answer. Rust particles were found in the wound, and we never have to use the autopsy again, I'm pretty sure. Rust, not from a rusty knife, but from a rusty sink. But you want to talk evidence? Show me evidence there was a knife. Show me where the murder weapon that we couldn't find is hiding. I can't, because you're right. Success. Of course, Horace could have stabbed his uncle with an icicle. Oh, come on! If he did, then he wouldn't have stabbed the coffin. No point in incriminating himself. Plus, we know Horace never went to the basement. Fine. He's innocent. So where does that leave us? The killer somehow got below the stage, climbed up, someone moved the ladder, then stabbed the victim. Then, they opened this room's door without the camera seeing it, threw down the dry ice, and ran away. Ran to where? We haven't really discussed that. If they fled this room, they either went to the stage, back to the basement, or back into Minerva's dressing room. We have seen them go on stage. The basement door was locked, and Minerva's assistant Jane would have seen them out of the dressing room, unless Jane was the killer. An interesting proposition. We won't have any evidence to prove it. What if the killer went back to the basement and is still hiding there? Back to, that's it. It all makes sense. We just have to change our thinking. What are you talking about? Throughout this case, things have been backwards. Our initial ideas have been thoughts. Everybody's instant. We hit him, but melted. Sounds case. We need to challenge another pre-existing notion. Go back to Palmer after sync. The tape is fake. Deep fake. The security tape must be fake. What? How do you know it's fake? Rick must have used deepfake technology to edit himself out. Rick Gordman is actually the killer. No, I didn't do it, he didn't. That sounds complicated, and Rick is not a complicated man. Yeah, I'm too dumb to be the mastermind. Let me think about this. Moving out the door, now to opening on the tape, how the killer got out of the basement. There's a secret door in the dressing room. There's supposed to be another secret door in this room. Besides the one in the cupboard, I mean. Where's the secret door located? I don't know. Where is it lead? I don't know. Do you know anything? No, I know that if you let me answer again, I'll get it right this time. There's an idea that answers all these inconsistencies. The killer went back down to the basement. They climbed up, killed Hamilton, then climbed back down. That's how the ladder moved. They moved it after returning to the basement. No. Bad. Because what's happening now is the basement set is currently switched off because it isn't being used. And the camera just went to it. Yeah, I'll know that note. Then they went up to the little hallway via the stairs. Remember, the camera's above that door, so its opening wouldn't show up on tape. Killer used the trio smoke screen and ran into dressing room B. See, everything makes sense now. No, it doesn't. There are three problems. First of all, and I'm sorry, I've been doing this for an hour and a half, and I'm kind of rushing through it now. How did they get down there in the first place? I have an idea. This building used to be used just for magic shows, right? What if there's a trap door either on stage B or in Minerva's dressing room? That way the killer could get down without showing on tape. Maybe in case you forgot, the door on top of the stairs is locked. How did they flee through a locked door? Oh, I know this one. They got through because you can open it from the basement side even though it's locked. Did I admit something? In the initial script to this game, there was a massive plot hole that you can't open it from the basement store when it's locked. Which made the whole game not make sense because how'd the killer get out? Okay, but there's another problem. The door from the furnace room to the storage room was locked, and that one blocks both ways. How did they get to the stairs if the door was locked? What if they locked the door later? You said you had the only keys. I don't know, but what if they picked the lock? Wait, can you lock a door by picking the lock? Yes. Our killer didn't reverse pick the door. They used Rick's keys. They stole Rick's keys to lock the basement door when? A week ago. This killer stole the keys a week ago and created duplicates. Wow, really? Assume you can back this up with evidence? Nope, but it would make sense, wouldn't it? The only thing that makes sense is my growing impatience. Well, and I'm sure they stole Rick's keys. They stole them this morning. Killer must have stolen the keys this morning. No, that couldn't have happened. I definitely had my phone this morning. I was kind of browsing cat videos online when the murder happened. You're saying that your testimony earlier that you saw Horse stab the coffin was a lie? I mean, I looked up a few times. It's a very boring show, okay? And I've seen it 100 times. Once I have my phone and my keys are attached to my phone. Which means Detective Green's assumption is wrong. Well, now, I'm sure they stole Rick's keys. They stole Rick's keys to lock the basement door when? And here's the moment when it all makes sense. 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago? You mean Jenny Loyal stole Rick's keys when she took a photo of him and Minerva. When she was going to get the tape of Minerva's show, she also went to the basement and locked that door. She dropped down through the trap door again? She must have, otherwise we would have seen her on the tape. I mean, not really. What do you mean? I stopped the tape at 12:15 when you all showed up. Or when you showed up. You did what? Why? I didn't think the rest of the tape was important. You didn't either. You started talking about horrors being evil, so I paused the video. Shut up and play the rest of the tape. What's he playing it on? Don't question it. Okay, here's where we left off. Fast forwarding a bit. Got it. At 1:50, Jan came out of dressing room B, unlocked the stairway door, and went down to the basement. Dressing room B connects to stage B, meaning that if you hurry, you can get there from stage A without going through the hallway. Then, at 1:55, I need to make sure these are all the same aspect ratio because they're screenshots. I need to crop them all to the same size. Then, at 1:55, Jan came back and went into dressing room B. Great, the last 30 minutes were completely pointless, but at least we have evidence of our culprit. Obtained additional security footage. At 1:50, Jan went